Guys, it's time to talk about Guild Wars 2 new player experience. Once again, this video was recommended by you guys, and it's about the Guild Wars 2 new player experience being absolutely cooked. Now, as some of you may know, I'm a degenerate WoW player that came into Guild Wars 2. Therefore, that makes me a certified new player, and I have a lot of issues with the new player experience. I think the most crucial one, other than the Zaitan fight, which was, oh my god, it was so horrendous. The most troublesome part was the fast leveling. Leveling is practically non-existent inside of Guild Wars 2. I think it's such a huge problem because it creates a massive issue where you don't get to enjoy the journey. And I never like that, because MMOs should be all about the journey, not the end of it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Let's hear what he has to say.
I hate this community so damn much, bro. You have no idea. Everyone's saying this community is so nice, so friendly, and they're liars. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it.
That's a statement. What the hell? Okay, to be fair, the entire Guild Wars 2 community has been kind to me. I haven't encountered any form of toxicity. Unlike World of Warcraft, which I've encountered quite plenty. And I'm familiar in this game. I'm a veteran. People still don't care. Are you going to be playing the Scars of Honor playtest tomorrow if I get accepted into it? I don't know. I don't have the key. Unless it's free, and then I'm going to do it 100%.
Let's start from the beginning. So I've been busting my ass on videos, shorts, editing. My car literally broke down, so I had to get it towed. And frankly, it hasn't been a great time to be Silhouette. But beyond all that, I wanted to hop on the old hardcore account and make some progress towards my legendary weapon. Now, me and my journey, this is like an ultra long-term goal. So this process isn't going to be done in like a month or 2 months or whatever. But I've been repeating the leveling process a lot because, well, I keep dying. And this time around, I was a little smarter with my decisions. My first character, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna die. And I got...
How in God's name did you die on level 17 in Guild Wars 2? It's impossible to do at max level. How did you did at level 17? That's wild. He must have tripped off a mountain or something, because you literally cannot die. Again, one of the major issues I have with Guild Wars 2 is that you're a living god of death. I know it changes in the expansion, but base game version, you are undead. You literally cannot die. You can spam one button, and it can be the auto attack, and you will not lose. Ever.
Rank 400
there is no
crafting.
risk.
I made full gear, and I was like, so...
You play a Guardian! I bet it happens on every class. You know why? I'm gonna say it. Because class identity doesn't exist in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, let me have it. Let me have it. Every class is the same. Every class has heals. Every class has boons. Every class deals damage. What can you say about that? Huh? Nothing. Why? Because you know I'm goddamn right.
Slowly map comping as I went, and while obviously
don't worry
that
about
wasn't
it.
the greatest strategy, because of course, like, I died and I wasted a ton of gold and time and all that. So this time around, my level 80 was basically just geared with whatever random stuff the game gave me. And that leads me to the actual
It's not a rage
topic
bait,
of
guys.
this
Don't worry.
video, the new player experience in Guild Wars 2. And if you're here for my death story, I'll get to that. I promise I will run you through a play-by-play, but I want to take a minute to talk about the new player experience because I think that the game does a pretty poor job at setting up new players for success. And in some cases, the free-to-play experience is equally cooked. But much like working on my car, the last time I touched the new player system was like a long time ago, so I didn't expect anything to be re-engineered anytime soon. So I'm going to keep my suggestions as like pretty low intensive. I'm not like, oh, do this and rework the UI and rework this, but I'd love to see some actual work get put in for the most.
You do have to rework the UI. It's completely garbage. And now that I know for a fact you can change the UI, because I did the Super Adventure Box event, which constantly changes your UI, I know they can pull this off. So I'm really expecting them to do some serious changes.
most part, we aren't going to see any of that. The product is shit.
It's completely garbage.
But hopefully some of these changes will come in so people decide to stick with the free game until they actually decide to purchase the expansions, or at least go over to YouTube and find my videos to where I will help them get proper gear. In either case, let's start with the Guild Wars 2 new player experience situation. What a mouthful. We just had our new hero jumpstart, and I managed to basically level 3 level 80s in that time. The average leveling time is about 15 hours with no boosters or cheese or anything or special events going on. It was a lot faster during the new hero jumpstart. But just if you follow the character adventure guide closely and make good use of your time, that part is 100% fine. I don't think that having characters level up quickly is a bad thing.
It is a bad thing. It completely drains out the MMO RPG aspect. You know, you dissect it. There's an MMO, which we can talk about. Guild Wars 2 is actually doing quite well in that regard. And then you have the RPG element, which Guild Wars 2 probably is the worst when it comes to that. In my opinion. Again, guys, you know, I'm not gonna do another rage bait here. In my opinion, Guild Wars 2 completely messes up on the RPG element. I do not feel it inside of the game. And the leveling being too fast is definitely a core issue. It's one of the worst contributors to that. It is what it is, right?
In fact, I think it could probably go faster, at least right at the start, because you are stuck with running around with only weapon skills for quite a while, and if you don't know how to cheat...
That's a good thing. That is a good thing. You should start with literally one ability. You shouldn't start with 10. It is so odd. I do not understand this logic, and it's so unfortunate because Retail WoW is doing the exact same thing. Retail WoW leveling does feel very similar to Guild Wars 2 in that regard at the very least. And it just sucks because you want to have abilities being constantly spoon-fed to you, but at a slower pace, because you want to wait for that next ability. You want to be excited for the next power spike. Remember how we used to play Classic? You played a warrior because you were actually goated at the game and knew which class was the best, and you had a charge, right? You had only heroic strike, and then you level up some more. You get charge. Suddenly, you feel on top of the world. You wait a little bit more, you get one more ability. Maybe like rage stuff, maybe, I don't know, like another ability. You continue a little bit further, you get execute. And oh boy, does it feel good when you get that. Why? Because you had that delayed gratification. You needed that. It was so good, that dopamine hit every time you reach this level. It just, oh my god, it was so good. And that's what made Classic, like, literally the best MMORPG ever. Classic World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, in Retail and in Guild Wars 2, abilities are thrown at you so liberally and so fast. You cannot process what they do. And in Guild Wars 2, you have like 20 different abilities for one character, which is insane. I'm not even going to include the elite spec abilities. It's just too much. Not only it's too much, it's being delivered to you way too fast.
He's the character adventure guide, which why would a new player know how to do that? It's gonna be slow. Now, the real issue that I have is the pop-ups, the little level up pop-ups that you get the reward. The level up rewards are actually quite useful until they aren't, and they're completely trash. At first they're useful. You do typically get given.
It's not really trash. Again, it's the problem. The problem is you level up too fast. And if you got these rewards at a reasonable pace, everyone would have been happy. I know I would have. But whenever you get them like way too quick, it just, you don't really care. You just stop caring. Guild Wars 2 used to be better at the RPG stuff before all the expansions. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. The walking, etc. added a lot and made you explore more and go slower naturally. Exactly. The fact that you start with a literal mount in Guild Wars 2 nowadays, it's been so detrimental to the game experience. You will feel rolls in hard endgames, so it will be there, but not for everyone reaches there. It's a really bad game design too. Like, you should feel it right from the beginning. You shouldn't feel it at the end game. You shouldn't wait for something that important until the end game. Like, never. First leveling should be slower, especially in horizontal MMO. Thank you. Thank you. Finally, someone who understands. I hate taking 30 levels just to get 6 abilities. I need all my abilities by level 10, at most 20, so I can press buttons. I mean, that's you. That's definitely... That's one of the opinions. but I think you're in the minority. Because time has shown once and once again with World of Warcraft that the exact opposite is true. People want slower leveling. They don't want all the abilities being thrown at them at once. So I think you're in the minority. I may be wrong about it nowadays, but we've seen some statistics recently and like they supported my claim. So again, it can go either way, but I respect your opinion, like 100%. You say leveling should be slower, but all my real life friends, oh, you have those? Okay, quit back in the day because they felt leveling was slow and you can't spend dungeons though. So go play Path of Exile. You should tell them to go play Path of Exile or maybe a completely different game. Like, I understand that World of Warcraft is seasonal nowadays, but it shouldn't be the case. Like, never. They just don't like MMOs. It's that simple. It's honestly that simple. From what I know, Guild Wars 2 used to have a profession trainers, bot abilities, trains, etc. Yeah, but they removed all of those. I understand why, because they thought it was too much. They even had a repair system, but it's completely gone. I prefer the slow leveling, time to marinate in each activated skill and passive. Exactly. You get to soak in the experience and actually learn your class methodically instead of just, you know, guessing and mashing random buttons. I don't think mashing buttons is fun.
Like a meta-ish weapon, like the greatsword on Guardian or pistols on Thief or something like that. So you aren't completely stuck with whatever weapon you start with right away or whatever weapons you find. You actually get a decent weapon right away. However, as you level up and you get close to max level, you just end up getting random trash items. Sometimes these are rares with a rune, sometimes they're rares with a superior rune, sometimes they're exotics with no runes, or a set of exotics with like mismatch rune. And frankly, the runes in gear stats are problematic because you aren't really teaching players how to play properly. Typically speaking, you have gear of the same stat in every slot. Berserker's gear, for instance. However, after leveling, you end up with a mismatch of stat types. Sometimes it's Condi, sometimes it's Berserker, sometimes it's Soldiers, whatever. And the runes in those gear pieces also don't match at all. So when you hit level 80, the entire game opens up. Fractals are recommended, the Wizard's Vault is recommended, and many players will navigate to a level 80 zone. And even in core level 80 zones, they can be pretty dangerous if your gear is all jacked up. But the problem is that you're training new players to think that that's how you gear a character, with mismatched rarities, hodgepodge of different equipment stat types, and rune stats that don't match. And then they just end up wanting to do dungeons or wanting to do fractals or whatever, and it's a mess. They can't survive, they can't do damage, they can't do anything, and it's 100% not their fault.
That's true. I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. Gearing should be explained to you way more carefully, especially when you level up so fast and you just don't know what the hell you're equipping. You're just kind of going along with emotions, and because it doesn't matter as you're leveling. But at the end games and when you're starting to do like end game content, it's definitely an issue. So I agree with him 100%. Like, most people won't even know what Wizard Vault actually is. I didn't even know what it was until like 2 weeks ago when you guys told me I can get so much gear from it, like good gear, not like garbage stuff, but I didn't know it. And most people won't stream, so they won't have a community that actually tells them what to do because they're brainless wow monkeys. So it is what it is.
So bad that you can actually just like trash all.
By the way, I was
leveling
referring to
gear
myself.
and then just get white Berserker gear from the PvP lobby.
I'm too
and
wow
it'll
pilled.
perform better out in the open world than the exotic or rare gear that you get from these level up rewards. So my suggestion is that the rewards for these levels get more streamlined in a way that makes sense. Like, the pick your item rewards are often just confusing, and I think that maybe from like level 70 up, you can just give the player a single piece of gear that is the same stat, same rune set. So by the time they hit level 80, even if they're rocking like level 70 exotics, they at least have the stats match and the runes match. This next little part is going to be me talking about the free-to-play experience. That is what I play when I'm doing my hardcore stuff, because the game went free to play like a decade ago, and it came with like a ton of restrictions. And one of the big ones is like no item-to-item mailing and a strict trading post regulation. And these are often used to counter both bots and like RMT, which is fine because Some of those things absolutely destroy the game, but these two things are kind of destroying the free-to-play experience in Guild Wars 2. So let's talk about player-to-player mail. I think that restriction could be lifted or at least loosened, so that way free-to-play could at least trade with other free-to-play characters, but they couldn't mail to retail accounts. That would be like a good delineation. Most players who RMT aren't going to be RMTing to a free-to-play account, and the whole point is to segregate the free-to-play and potential bots from the retail market. The game already tracks who does that. It already has these restrictions in place on certain accounts, so I'm sure that change alone could be made if they wanted it to. That one might be a little bit more invasive, but it could be done. Secondly, the trading post restriction. Some items are restricted and are unbuyable, and I believe that they should not be in current Guild Wars. Things like charms are unbuyable, and unfortunately these charms are required to craft runes. Like, you cannot get these charms. You can get them. You can get these charms from salvaging equipment, but you can't buy them outright from the trading post, and you also can't buy runes outright either, which makes getting runes insanely hard for a free-to-play account. This also goes for relics, and I think that one of the...
But I guess it doesn't matter because you still, like, plow through the entire content. So, like, why would it matter? By the time you'll reach the end game, if you mentally survive the Zaitan fight, you'll buy an expansion, because why the hell go through all of that harrowing experience just to quit? Like, why would you ever do that? So, I don't agree with that point, really.
The level up rewards, at least the level 80 level up reward, would be that 3-pack of relic selection chests that we got when Soda was released, because otherwise you really aren't going to get them. You aren't going to be getting a relic on a free-to-play account without a significant amount of work. And part of me feels like these restrictions are there to incentivize.
Yeah, I know a lot of people quit. I did that too 4 years ago when I tried out Guild Wars 2. I did this Zaitan fight and it dipped for 4 years until I came back recently. But it's not the point. It's the point that, like, getting the ability to purchase important stuff like runes, it's irrelevant. Like, nobody really cares about that. That's not the major problem.
The purchase of the game. Like, I feel like they inconvenience the player so significantly that they want you to just be like, whatever, I'll just buy it. Here you go, here's your $15, and they'll buy the game. But I feel like the overall pacing doesn't allow for people to get hooked first, and I think that loosening up some of these free-to-play restrictions, or at least modernizing them a little bit, will allow for a player to actually try the game, play for free, and then actually get to the point where they're like, I'm actually really enjoying this and I want to play the game more, and then they'll purchase the game. Like, if they play until they're like level 25 and they have all these restrictions and they don't know how to get gear and everything's locked out, they're just gonna stop playing the game. You know what I mean? They're not gonna just be like, oh, okay, I'll just buy it, whatever. I think proper level up rewards and loosening the restrictions on the free-to-play account in general would be a good way of incentivizing more people to actually stick with the game long enough to be like, okay, yeah, I want to buy the expansions now. All right, now for the moment you've all been waiting for, my death journey, the death that nearly broke me. So I logged in and I wanted to make some progress on the account, and I saw that Triple Trouble was running, and you can get...
Okay, I think he's going to talk about something else. That's random.
Triple Trouble. So I was like, I clicked on it, saved. And
okay, he's going to talk about his hardcore challenge. That's not what I came in for. So I'm gonna call it here for the video. By the way, great video still. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. You guys should watch it for yourself. Give him a like. But yeah, I mean, I do agree with some of the points he made there. At the end of the day, I don't think he's... Like, he missed a lot of good points. He could have talked about it so extensively, which makes sense because the video is only 11 minutes long, so, you know, it is what it is. I guess he didn't want to talk about it, or he didn't feel like it was crucial. But I've said it what I think as a new player. I think the game could have done way better job at explaining new players what the hell they're supposed to be doing right now. And instead of just throwing abilities and levels at you liberally, just give them to the players slowly. It would make them enjoy the experience way better. But in my opinion, like, because the base game is so bad in terms of story and definitely the last boss, you do need to rework the entire thing. Just cut portions from the story that nobody really cares about and they're not contributing to anything, and you know there were plenty of quests in the base version of the game that could be easily cut and nobody would give a damn. Easily. Like, easily. So many battles that contributed to nothing, and you only stood there for 20 minutes, AFK, just waiting for the fight to auto-battle itself. That was it. That was it. So the need to cut the dead air off and just make leveling a little bit slower and exploration a bit more rewarding, I guess. And that would make the game, or at least the leveling system, at least 10 times better. But the most important part would be to rework the Zaitan fight, because ain't no way you're gonna drag my ass through that story and not giving me the boss I deserve.